Hi students, welcome to this video session. Samuel Chukwuemeka is my name, as usual. In this video session, we shall design a simple interest calculator using Visual Basic. So, a simple interest calculator is a calculator that computes the simple interest. It is recommended that you know the theory. You may wish to view my videos on interest, specifically on simple interest, so that you can understand, you understand the theory, then you know how we can do the design. We see that a simple interest is equal to a principal times rate times time. Okay, SI is the simple interest. P is the principal. R is the rate. And the rate is in percent, usually in percent, but you have to convert to decimal. Principal is in your legal tender, in the legal tender of your country. The same thing with simple interest, the legal tender of your country. Then T is time in years. So this is the formula for simple interest, and if you view the video, you will know the theory. Then after calculating the simple interest, we also wanted to calculate the amount, and the amount is the principal plus the simple interest. The simple interest plus the principal. So A is the amount or the future value. All right, let's get started. We shall do some varieties here so that you can understand Visual Basic more. So we have opened up the VB. We go to New Project, and it's on Windows Forms. We can name this a Simple Interest Calculator. Now, what we want to do is let us first of all get an input for the principal, an input for the rate, and an input for the time, and also get their labels. Then we get the boxes, or the text box, or the label for the interest and the amount. So what we want here, we can change the form name right away. Form 1, we can put a simple interest calculator, and let's expand this. And the name, you know, the text, there is space, but in the naming there should be no space, and we are using camel case letters. Okay, calculator, simple interest calculator. That's the form name. There we go. Remember, the form name there should be no space, but in the text, in the name, no space, but in the text there could be space. You can also view previous videos on VB that we have done, so that you will still have an understanding of this. So we want to put our labels. We want to put our labels. We have 3 labels, and the first label we want to put, we could care less about the name because we won't probably use it much. We will just change the text principal. The second label we want to name rate, and the rate we want it in decimal. The third label we want to name the time in years. Then we want an input for the simple interest. It tells us the simple interest is this, and also we want another input for, we want a toolbox that can hold the simple interest, the result, and also another toolbox that can hold the amount. We can use a text box, but since we will not input any values in this text box, we can make it read-only. So the text box, we go to read-only property. Read-only is false. We change this to true. Then we can also use the label, but if we use the label, we want to make the auto size of the label, we want to make it false, so we could drag it. We could drag it and align it. Then we want to remove the text on the label, and we want to change the border style to fixed 3D, so it kind of looks nice. Okay, then we want a text box for the principal. For the inputs, text box for the principal. Then we can just copy and paste. We want another text box for the rate, and another text box for the time. And let's now name all these text box because we are going to use it. Let's call this principal text box. Principal text box. Let's call this rate text box. And let's call this time text box. Then let's call this interest text box, the simple interest text box, where the simple interest the value will be in. And let's call this amount label, where the amount that will give us the amount. And then we now need something that would do the action, which is the button. We get a button, and let's we can make this big. And we call this calculate button as the name, and we change the text to calculate or compute, whichever one you like. All right, so we've got what we need here. Now what we can do now is to go ahead and we can right click and then view code, or you press F7. So this is the public class simple interest calculator, and what we want is to dim dimension. We want a principal rate, time, and once it's highlighted, you can just press the tab key. As double. Yeah, we also want the result. We also want interest, simple interest, and we also want amount as double. Now this is if we want to really organize this is a declaration. Then after that, we want the action to be here. Okay, when we this is the toolbox, the button that will perform the action. So we double click on it to get to it, so that when we click on it, we can now, what we can do first is to assign. We assign, and in assigning, we see that the principal should be the principal text box dot text. The rate should be the rate text box dot text. The time should be the time text box dot text. And you know, once it's highlighted, just press the tab key once it's highlighted. So we've assigned our values. The other simple interest and amount will be calculated. So let's go ahead and process this. Process. And processing means that simple interest is equal to principal times rate times time. And also that the amount should be simple interest plus the principal, or principal plus simple interest. That should be the amount. Okay, then we want this to be displayed. We want the display next. Display. We want the simple interest text box. Simple interest text box. Now, is this text box simple interest? Oh, we said interest text box. Okay, that's why it's not showing in IntelliSense. So we need a interest text box dot text will display. What is it going to display? We want it to display the simple interest is, and we kind of want it to be in dollars. Put it in dollars, and then we use the ampersand sign or concatenation sign, and then we have a simple interest. And then we want the amount label dot text to be the amount is, put in dollars, and amount. Okay, so let's kind of run this and see. The principal, let's use just simple figures. $100 rate, let's say the rate is 0.1, and let's say the time is 1 year, and you do calculate. Tells you the simple interest is $10 and the amount is $110. Okay, that's nice. Now, what if we want the rate to be percent? What are we going to do? What if we don't want, because sometimes they give you a question and they give you the rate in percent. That means you have to change it to decimal. Okay, so let's see what we can do there. And this principle we can just put in dollars. Okay, so if we want the rate to be percent, that means we've got to change this rate, and instead of decimal we put percent. We are going to do some varieties so you can have a good understanding of this. So in this case, this rate is percent. So what I can do here is I can now add another another variable, rate percent, so that the rate is in percent, and I can change this to now rate percent since the user will put in 10%. So I put in this rate percent. Now on the process, what I'm now going to do on the process is to now write that rate is equal to the rate percent, because divided by 100. You know, when you want to convert a decimal to percent, you have to divide by 100. So this is what I'm going to do if I want the rate in percent. To calculate in percent, I will just have to put another variable, then I can assign, because this is now rate percent, and then I can write that the rate is rate percent over 100, and this should work just fine. If we put 100 and 10%, 1 year, and we calculate it, it still gives us that. Okay. All right. Now, what if I want options? The user should be able to have options to select either in decimal or in percent for the rate, because sometimes they give it to you in percent, or sometimes they can give it to you in decimal. But if they give it to you in percent, you have to change to decimal. And what if I also want the user to have options for the time? Sometimes they give you time in months or days, and you're expected to convert it to years before you solve it. So what are we going to do now? So we need options, and whenever we need options, then we will need a combo box. Remember, we have talked about combo box before, whereby one option will be selected at a time. You can view my videos on a VB designing calculator with combo box, and I think the second video also. You can view those two videos to have a good understanding of it. So I will have to put the combo box. So let me kind of extend this and put this right here. I go and get my combo box. There you go. So I double click it, and I want it here, and I want another one. So let me just copy and paste. And this combo box, I want to name it rate combo box. Rate combo box. And the items I want, I go to items I want on it. I want it to be either in decimal or in percent. Okay, these are the values I want there. And this one, I want it to be I want that one to be time combo box. And the items I want on it, I want years, I want months, I want weeks in case they give it to you in weeks, and I want days. That is what I want here. So I put OK. Now let me go to the code window. I will have to change all of these. I will have to change some of this. Instead of, because the rate percent is no longer only in percent. So I've got to let me just put rate value, and also let me put a time value. Okay. As you can see, this, there is IntelliSense. This is underlining it that there are errors here. There is no longer rate percent here that I declared. Okay, so what do I do now? The rate value and the time value, remember, it has those options, user options, what the user wants it in. And you know what? Let me just go ahead here, and I remove the percent here. Okay, so it will only be rate. and time, I remove years here. So it will only be time. Dollars, I'm gonna keep the dollar sign unless you wanna convert to other currencies. Then you can convert the dollar to other currencies. Yeah. Okay. I will now come here. My rate is no longer rate percent. It's just my rate is rate text box, and my time is time text box. Then I would have to do something here. I would have to write another code here for the options. Okay, user, I can just put user options for the combo box. Okay, if what I want here is that I will now have to, because it's combo box, I will have to use a conditional statement. So we have talked about conditional statements before, so you can view the videos on it. If the user selects decimal, then leave it like that. Okay. Otherwise, else if the user selects percent, then convert it. For the rate now, user options for the combo box. Let's first of all do that for the rate. For the rate. So if combo box, if rate combo box, if rate combo box dot text is equal to decimal, then the rate should be equal to just the rate value. Okay. And in this process, we have to remove this rate because we don't need, we wouldn't need it anymore. We just remove this rate here. So rate will be equal to rate value. Else if rate combo box dot text is equal to percent, then the rate should be equal to rate value divided by 100. That is it for the for that. Now this will now be rate value, not rate anymore. This will just be rate value. Since it's our rate text box, this will be the rate value. Let's kind of run this first and see how it is. So if we put 100 and we put 10% and we put 1, so you see it runs well for the rate. We've not done anything for this, so we can't use it now because we've not done anything for it. What if we put 0.1% and we do calculate? You see, that will give us that. What if we do 0.1 and we have decimal? Still gives us this. So it runs well for it. So let's go ahead and fix that of the time. The time will now be time value as well. Time value will now be the time text box. So let's fix that of the time. For the time, if time combo box dot text is equal to years, then leave it like that. Then time will be equal to time value. Else if time combo box dot text equal to, if it is in months, if they give it to you in months, then the time will be equal to time value divided by 12 months. Make a year, 12 months. Then else if again, time combo box dot text is equal to, if it's equal to weeks, then the time will be equal to time value divided by 52 weeks. Okay, then else if time combo box dot text is equal to days. If it's equal to days, then time will be equal to time combo box. Time value divided by 365 days. Okay. And then we still have our principal times rate times time. So you check what, you kind of want to make sure that you're using the right thing, assigning it well, and everything should work fine. So let's go ahead and run it. Let's use simple ones. $100, 10%. We have 10%, and 1 year. Calculate $10 amount is $110. What if we change it to 1 month? See that? This is what you should get. What if we change it to 6 months? 0.5, 6 months. You get this? What if you change this to 10 in decimal and you change it to 6 weeks? You get that? So if you do this calculation, you will find out that it works. Okay? Thank you so much for listening, students. And if you can either, because we've been saving this on our desktop, but otherwise it saves. If you click save all, it tells you, I've been saving it on my desktop. That's why.